This is
Welcome to the dark side of lust. This story is about a crazy ass bitch. But you will be surprised by the time you get to the end of it. Let's begin. Hey, my name is Alex, and well, let's just say by the end of this story, you may or may not like me. You may be in my position, and you may love me for what I did, but you may also think that I could have handled things differently. And I contemplated that during my 20 years in prison, but I still don't feel sorry for what I did. Let me explain why. When I was 18, just a high school graduate, I went to a party with a bunch of guys, and they hired on a bunch of prostitutes. These prostitutes were just, maybe about 10 years older than me. One was just crazy. She was just like in love with me the moment she met me. First, we talked because I'm a little shy, I'm a little small down there, and I usually don't like to be around women that just want it right away. I'm a little afraid. I like to work a woman into what I like to do. And this woman, she wasn't waiting. She was trying to get down my pants. She said to me a couple of times, I don't care if it's small. I'm used to being around a lot of different men, and it's usually how you work it. Let me show you how to work it. You'll be able to do it if I teach you, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And so finally, she kind of got me just to whip it out. And I did. And she went to town. And she really made me feel like, it was okay that I wasn't too big down there. And she just loved it over and over and over. And for the whole night, pretty much, we went for hours. And, she was paid by the people that put the party on, but I gave her a nice tip too. Pretty much a lot of the money that I was going to put towards a motorcycle. But at that moment, it didn't matter because I felt that a motorcycle can always get paid for, it's something material. But at that moment, I really needed my confidence to be built up. And that was something I couldn't pay for. But it's something that I wish I could have just waited for. Let me get to my story. So anyway, after that night, her and we kept in touch. I thought to myself, she's going to be my confidence builder. And, we met up a couple of more times at her place. And then I really couldn't afford her any longer. And I told her that. I said, listen, I'm working a summer job. I'm just about to go into college. And for me, it's a little tough. I can't really pay for you any longer, but thank you. Thank you so much. Like, I feel really good, much better than I did before I met you. And I feel like I can deal with a woman now and not worry about the size of my manliness. And she started to offer me free sessions. Like, I would go to her place and we would get it on, and then I would leave. It was just like going to the doctor. And I started to go at least once a week. And I really loved looking forward to it. She would do all kinds of crazy things in the room, and she taught me a lot. She was like a porno manual. But then I started to get tired of her, I just felt like, okay, I'm not really into her. And plus, she started to really bother me. This was when cell phones first came out, and we were really, paying high bills for cell phones. And she was constantly calling my cell phone. And so I said to her, listen, I can't do it any longer. And she said to me, okay, well, come on over to my place. Let's just talk about it. Just one time for one last sake. I just want to know that you really got everything that I taught you. And I was like, why not? Let me go do it. So I went to her house and we got it on all night. And then, bam, the condom broke. And I didn't know the condom broke at all. But when I took it out, it was broke. And I asked her, I said, are you on the pill? And she said, yes, of course. I do this for a living. Why wouldn't I be on the pill? And I said, okay, good. And she's like, don't worry about it at all. And then I said, okay. And then she said to me as I was getting dressed, the strangest thing, do you think maybe we can start dating? And I was not attracted to her at all. I just felt like she was not beautiful, not sexy. She was just kind of crazy. And I wasn't into her physically. Her down there, she knew what she was doing and she knew how to operate well. But in regards to dating her, taking her out, showing her to my parents and making her my girl, no way. I was just starting college and I was really looking forward to maybe even getting drafted into the NBA. And she just wasn't my type. So I went to college and first semester passed. Second semester, I get a phone call from her. She didn't message me all those months, from August until January. And that's when I got the message. She's pregnant. Now, at first, I said to her, there's no way. I haven't seen you since August. And she said, yes, I know. But I didn't want to tell you I was pregnant. I got pregnant and I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to scare you. I know you're young. And I said, but then why are you telling me now? How do I know it's mine? You've been sleeping with so many men. And she's like, no, at that time, I was ovulating and I slept with only you. And I said, why would you sleep with me while you're ovulating? To be honest with you, I didn't even know what ovulating even meant. I had no clue. All I knew is that this woman was coming at me like some crazy bitch, telling me she's pregnant. And here I am, well on my way into my first year of college, and I'm living my life. And I had a girlfriend that I really liked that was my age, And I didn't know what to do. I panicked. And I told her, I said, listen, I don't want the baby. And she said, it's too late. I said, what are you talking about? Like, it was so long ago. And she said, exactly, I'm due. And I said, when? When are you due? And she said, in May. Now, it seemed right with the timing and everything like that. So I told her, I said, you know what? Just contact me in May. And she did. She contacted me when she was in labor. And I went to the hospital. I went to the hospital with my girlfriend. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know who else to tell. And I told my girlfriend the truth. I told her that this prostitute I was with was the last time was August. And I didn't even meet my girlfriend until October. So my girlfriend came with me. She knew I was upset and she really wanted to support me. And when we got to the hospital, the prostitute thought that my girlfriend was my sister when we went into the room to see the baby. And she's like, oh my gosh, you brought your family to meet the baby? And I said, no, this is my girlfriend. And the prostitute said, you brought your girlfriend to see my child? And at that point, I really didn't know what to say because it kind of was my child too, I guess. So I just said to her, listen, my girlfriend's here for support. And then that's when the prostitute said, support? Support? Well, You will be paying support because this child's yours. And I just left the hospital. I didn't know what else to do. I changed my cell phone number, and she didn't know how to get a hold of me at all until third year of college. I don't know how she found out. I think it was because I was on the news for my college ball. Our team won the finals, and I was one of the big people that they were talking about, and we were on the news, and I think that's how she found out what college I was attending, because she ended up coming straight to the school with the baby. Now, the baby at this time was a lot bigger than what I saw in the hospital, and the woman herself was now probably 10 times bigger than she was when I last was intimate with her years before that. I didn't even recognize her, and she looked older. Not only was she obese and old looking, but she also was like just standing there looking dirty and crusty, like she'd just been through some type of a hurricane or tornado or earthquake. And I walked past her and I said, "Excuse me." And she grabbed my arm and she pulled me to her and she said, "Don't you walk by me. I want my money." And I looked at her and I thought she was like some homeless woman, and I shake my hand away and I said, "Who do you think you are? Let me go or I'll call the cops on you." She said, "The cops are on their way. I told them." I said, "Told them what?" And I didn't want to have anything to do with her. I jumped in my car and I started my car. It was parked pretty much right outside. Started my car, and she started to throw stones at my car, chipping some of the paint off my car. She didn't dent it, but she was throwing the stones hard enough to make damage to the paint. And I hightailed it out of there. And the next day, to be honest with you, I was afraid to go back to school. I was terrified. I parked all the way down the street and I took a different entrance into the school. And I did that for about 3 weeks straight until the principal, the dean of the school, contacted me and asked me to go to the office. And I got in the office and there she was. And the dean said, "Do you know who this woman is?" And I said, "Yeah. Outside a few weeks ago, she tried to accost me like I don't know what was wrong with her." The dean said, "Well, she says that this is your child." I was shocked, and I looked at her, and she's like, "Yeah, it's me. You don't remember?" And I'm like, "Well, you look a little different." And she's like, "Well, you're an asshole." And I said, "Well, I don't know what to do." And the dean said, "Well, we're going to get you some counseling here from the school. We're going to make sure we help you along with the whole process. And we're going to get some, tests done, make sure." And he excused the woman and he said, "Can I please have you leave the office? We'll talk to you in a second." And he spoke to me alone. And the dean was really supportive. He was really, really understanding. And he said to me, "Listen, I got you. I respect you. I know you're a good kid. And this seems like something you got caught up in a long time ago. Like, it's unfortunate, but it happens to the best of everyone. And we're just going to deal with it." And I said, "All right." Well, I got so stressed. We did the test, by the way, and found out it was my child. I got so stressed that my grades started to fall. Couldn't focus on my basketball. I couldn't focus on anything. And I got depressed. And my parents, well, they were supportive, but they didn't like the woman either. The woman would want to come over with the kids. She was always knocking on our family door. It was a disgrace to everyone. And she was a nasty bitch. Well, I ended up having to drop out of school because I couldn't afford the support payments. And my mom, she actually offered to sell the house just so we can get away from this woman. And not only that, My mom also offered to sell her car just so I could pay some child support. It was horrible. I don't even know why the courts were doing me like that. But instead of doing all of that, I went to her house with a 9mm and I put a bullet in her head. I knocked on her door. She answered the door. And all my anger came out. I didn't initially go there to shoot her. That wasn't the reason. I just wanted to go scare her, tell her to calm down. But when she opened the door and I held the gun to her head, I knew at that moment I wanted her dead. I wanted her gone. I didn't ever want to see her big eyes, her fat body, her explosive mouth. I didn't even want to have anything to do with the child. So I pushed her in the door and I locked the door behind me. And I just put the gun to her head and blew a bullet in it. And I got 20 years. Well, I didn't really do the whole 20. I did 14. And I don't feel sorry for it. I was asked when I was in prison if I would do it again. The prison psychiatrist asked me this. And I said, yes, I would. And the prison psychiatrist said, you don't feel remorse? And I said, I feel remorse for sleeping with her. I feel remorse for allowing myself to go back there one last time instead of allowing her to get me with lust. And the prison psychiatrist said, that's very honest. I thought for sure they weren't going to give me allowance to leave. I thought for sure they were going to keep me in longer for not feeling remorse. But they understood the situation. And not only that, the woman, she used to make a lot of videos and put them on YouTube. So she actually had a YouTube channel. And through her channel, you could see she was crazy. You could see that she was a crazy bitch and she was doing some crazy things. And on the YouTube channel that she had. And so it was kind of understood that she was bullying me. But I still went there with the gun. And I still had the desire to spook her. They said if I had just gone there without a weapon and if I had just been there talking to her and it happened, then it would have been manslaughter in less time. But because I went there with a weapon, there was some type of intent. But I would do it again. This woman pretty much tried to take my life from me. And my child is with my mom. This woman had no family, no friends. She was just a crazy ass bitch. And instead of my child ending up as a child of the ward, my mom took my son on. And thank God, my son does not remember his mom. Thank God that his mom is not here. Wow, guys, what do you think about that one? Interesting, very interesting. Listen to your heart. Never listen to lust. Thank you so much for joining me. Please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And if you have, thank you. Don't forget to comment and hit like. Don't forget to share. Take care of yourself out there.
This is